full, back full, backflip 360, backflip with a full twist, whatever you want to call it. If you're serious about learning it, then this is the video for you, because today we're going to be taking an in-depth, step-by-step look at exactly how you can accomplish this trick. Let's get started. What's going on, guys? Jeremy here with Focus Flow, and sorry for the lack of content recently. Life has just been pretty crazy at the moment, but I'm trying to get back on top of it, and that starts with this video on back fulls. Now, just a heads up, this tutorial is going to be covering the more vertically flipped gymnast type back full as opposed to the more off-axis tricker full. If you personally are a tricker or a free runner that likes to incorporate tricking, then a tricker full is definitely going to be more suited toward the movement that you like to do. The full that we're going to be covering in this video is suited for more vertically flipped tricks and sets. But the reason I'm making a distinction between the two is because I go about teaching them in two very different ways. That being said, if you would like a tutorial on the tricking style full, then let me know in the comments below. So without any further ado, let's talk about the prerequisites for the back full. There are two main prerequisites that I would highly recommend you learn before attempting a back full. First is the open or untucked backflip. Now, when I say untucked, I don't mean a layout or a stall backflip. I simply mean a backflip in which you don't secure your knees to your chest via grabbing your shins and pulling them in. Instead, your arms should just be used for the set of the backflip and then left alone. The reason this is such an important prerequisite is because the back full, for all intents and purposes, is a backflip without a tuck. So if you don't have enough confidence or height in your backflip in order to comfortably do an untucked or open backflip, then that's a sign that you need to work on that before moving on to your back full. And the second prerequisite for the back full is the Arabian. Now, in the way that I'm going to be teaching the back full, the Arabian is an essential part of it. It's an overall simpler trick to accomplish than the back full, and it utilizes an identical set. If you don't already know how to do an Arabian, I do have a tutorial for that on this channel. It's a little older, a little dated, but the information still stands, and I hope it does a good job of explaining the trick. Another trick that's not necessary but could help some people in learning their back full is the front half. I personally learned my back full before learning the front half, but I can see it helping other people with their aerial awareness. The back full is a relatively complex trick in that it involves two simultaneous 360-degree rotations on two different axes, your flipping axis and your twisting axis. The back full starts in an identical set to that of the Arabian, with your arms starting behind you and then swinging upwards while you twist your upper body. Here, the back full separates itself from the Arabian as you continue to swing your arms in the direction that you want to twist. At this point, you'll try to complete the flip as you would with the Arabian, but at the same time, trying to complete another half turn. If done correctly, your eyes will be able to see the ground before your full body completes the flip, and it's just a matter of bringing your hips around to complete the full rotation. I'd like to add that because you're doing two different rotations in relatively the same amount of time you would have to do a backflip, the back full is going to take an extra amount of power and force in order to complete, especially when you're first learning it and your technique isn't perfect. Because of this, I'd recommend first learning it with whatever setup provides you the best balance between power and confidence. Some people may prefer learning the back full with a round-off setup, while others may feel more comfortable taking it off a slightly elevated surface for the extra amount of hang time. Now, if you're like me and feel most comfortable learning your back full from a standing position, then you'll have to keep in mind that getting enough power to complete it may be an issue. And you can see when I first learned it that it definitely was an issue. Now that we have a basic understanding of the mechanics of the back full, let's discuss some of the key points, tips, and tricks that'll really help you land your first back full. The first, and in my opinion the most important element of the back full, is the aerial awareness. Now, what exactly is aerial awareness? Aerial awareness in my book is the ability to see or feel, or whatever sense you want to use, but know where you are in the air throughout a particular trick. What aerial awareness isn't is hopelessly throwing yourself into a trick and trying to guess the right time to untuck and spot your landing. Now, aerial awareness is important for any trick because it enables you to know what adjustments you need to make in the air in order to more effectively land the trick, such as untucking sooner or driving your hips more, things like that. But the reason I bring it up for the back full specifically is because when you're introducing a twist and a flip for the first time, it can be really easy to get lost in the air, which makes it 10 times more scary and makes you a lot less confident and less effective at landing the trick. So getting a proper understanding and aerial awareness of the back full, even before you land your first one, is an essential part of this trick. And that's where the Arabian comes in. Now, I mentioned in the basic overview how the Arabian and the back full share an identical set. What's great about this is the Arabian itself is already a half-turned backflip. Really, it's more of a 180 turn to front flip, but for purposes of learning the back full, it really is a 180 while backflipping. Now, what this means for us is instead of trying to wrap our heads around a full 360 rotation while backflipping, we can break it down into two smaller parts or two 180s. And breaking down a 360-degree rotation to a 180-degree rotation is a world of difference when it comes to aerial awareness. It's so much easier to understand. So when we do our back full, I want you to think of it exactly like an Arabian. The only difference comes when we start to swing our arms back downward for the front flip portion. Instead of swinging your arms downward in order to grab for a tuck for a front flip, you're going to continue swinging them into a more of a diagonal position where they're going down and to the side that you're twisting on. Because we initiated the 180 twist already from the set of the Arabian, our arms continuing to swing along with our head continuing to turn will make the back full naturally happen. For me, thinking of the back full as just an Arabian with an extra half twist at the end made it so much easier to comprehend the aerial awareness I needed for it. And then once you start to get that down, then you can treat it like its own trick and start honing in on your technique to make it better and more efficient. Now, once you have a good understanding of the aerial awareness you need for the back full, the next step and the next thing you're probably going to need to work on is completing the rotation to actually land on your feet. Like we went over before, the back full involves two 360-degree rotations in the same hang time or air time that you would have to complete a backflip or any normal standing flip, which means it takes a lot of effort, power, and strength in order to land your first back full. So here are some tips on how to maximize the power and efficiency of your back full. The first tip I can give you involves our setting technique. Now, as you probably guessed already, setting your chest up high is going to allow you to get a higher flip. But what you might find tempting is spotting the ground once you initiate that first 180-degree turn. And while this can help you with confidence and aerial awareness, it will make you more prone to setting your chest downward and therefore lowering your flip. So once you have good aerial awareness for your back full, you should set your chest up high and skip that first spot. Instead, immediately drive your head and arms into the direction of the rotation. Another big mistake that I made when learning the back full was letting my upper body do all the work after I take off from the ground. When doing any kind of twist, it's pretty natural to lead with your upper body, especially since your eyes want to see where you're actually going to end up landing. But when it comes to maximizing both your flipping and twisting rotation speeds, you need to utilize your hips. When you do your back full, it shouldn't feel like your upper body is dragging along the rest of it. It should feel like your whole body is coming up as a unit together. So utilize your hips in conjunction with your shoulders, arms, head, all of that. Doing this should greatly impact your back full performance. And if you don't do this, then directly after taking off, your lower body will just become dead weight. And finally, when it comes to doing a proper and effective back full, you want to make sure that you're strong enough to hit a good puck position. A puck is basically just a combination of a tuck and a pike. We already know what a tuck is. That's when you're grabbing your shins and securing your knees to your chest. And a pike position is when you're in a more straight body position, or in some flips, that's when your legs are straight and they're folding over the rest of your body. Tucking, as we know, is the most ideal body position when trying to maximize any rotation on your flipping axis. And a pike position or straight body position is the most effective position for spinning as fast as you can. So in a back full, we're trying to do one full rotation on the flipping axis and one full rotation on the twisting axis. So we want a body position that's going to complement those both equally well. And that's where we get the puck. Now this position takes a lot of core strength to stay in, especially since once you start flipping or once you start twisting, your body is going to want to separate itself. So a great drill for this is practicing those open backflips over and over, really feeling your body trying to separate but being able to resist against it without utilizing your hands. That's going to be key for improving your back full. All right guys, that's going to be about it for the back full tutorial. I really hope you liked it. More so than that, I hope it helps, and if it did, or if it does, then maybe consider liking and subscribing. I have more tutorials coming soon that were recommended to me on Instagram like this one was, and as always, I love to hear any other video recommendations that you guys have. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jeremy with Focus Flow, and I hope to see you in the next one.